Hello and welcome to Desperate Dave's Distractions. I'm Desperate Dave and these are my flatmates, Mr. Wu and Cressida Croc. It's the 34th day of lockdown and today I thought I would talk to you about poker. Both how to play poker and also some of the terminology involved, so that if you want to, you can play poker like a professional. So there's quite a lot to cover. So this video is a little bit longer than our normal ones, but hopefully you'll be amused and maybe find out a few things you never knew about poker before. So, as you probably know, poker is a game all about money. Now I normally play, or I always actually play, for fake money, but you can play for real money. The reason I play for fake money is I generally play poker with live role-playing friends. And this evening I would normally be at Empire live role-playing, and we'd be playing what we call Temeshwa Hold'em, which is a type of poker based upon Texas Hold'em, which developed in the early 20th century in Texas. Name's a bit of a giveaway. Anyway, so with the money, at the start of an evening of poker, you will traditionally buy in, decide how much money you want to play with. Now you can actually play with money on the table with coins and things, but that's a little bit fiddly. So we're going to use chips. So you get a plate of chips and anyone buys how many chips they want. And the problem with chips is Cressy tends to eat them, so we're going to do without the chips on this occasion. Instead, we are going to use poker chips, casino chips, a bit easier to play with. And those come in different colours, representing different denominations. You can stack them up nice and neatly like Mr. Wu does, or in a horrible mess like Cressy does. So, having got your chips sorted out, then we decide who's going to be the dealer. Mr. Wu has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder about this. In fact, he's got the dealer chip on his shoulder. He's fed up with starting as the dealer, so I said I would have the dealer chip, or actually we call it the dealer button, in front of me. Now the button will move between players each hand that we play. We play a number of hands over the course of the evening, and everyone just takes it in turns being the dealer. So the dealer will get a deck of cards. Now, a good idea to use a clean new deck, ideally still in cellophane wrapping. That way we can check that nobody's cheated by marking the cards. Not that any of us would cheat, of course. So the dealer gets the deck of cards and then has to shuffle them. Now, various ways you can shuffle. The best way I find, and many people think, is what's called the riffle shuffle, where you get them between the cards between your thumbs and then you alternate them. It's quite hard to do this actually. In fact, I was never very good at it. But anyway, you end up with a stack of cards all nicely mixed together and shuffled. And then just again to minimise any chance of cheating, next thing we do is we cut the deck, cut one of the cards so we don't know what's on the top. And now we are ready to play. So the dealer will deal 2 cards to each player. And what I should have said earlier with Texas Hold'em, or Temeshwa Hold'em for that matter as well, we're trying to get the best hand of cards, 5 cards, over the course of several rounds, where we have 2 cards ourselves and there are 5 common cards or community cards based on in the centre of the table, and you try and get the best combination of cards from those 7. So having dealt the cards out, the player to the dealer's left is what's known as the small blind. They have to blind bet, in our case, 1 token. It's not like poking themselves in the eye, in one eye. The next player is what's known as the big blind, so 2 tokens, blindly bet, like poking in both eyes, so they're almost totally blind. And then, meanwhile, we can also actually look at our cards. So when you look at your cards, it's important to try and don't reveal anything about what you've got. Mr. Wu's really good at this bit. He always keeps quite a good poker face. He's quite inscrutable. You can never tell if he's got a good or a bad hand. Right. Oh, and the other thing, by the way, when you're looking at cards, you don't look at your other opponent's cards. Well, not at the front of the cards. You can look at the back of the cards, of course. You probably need me to tell you that anyway. Right, so I'm looking at my cards and I now have a choice of 3 things I can do. I can fold, which means I give up and sit out the rest of the hand. that'd be a bit dull and boring, so I'm not going to do that. I can call, which means I match the highest bet on the table, or I can raise, which means I increase the bets. Well, I'm going to call. Woo! Oh, in our household, when we call, we tend to call out woo for Mr. Wu. So, Mr. Wu, your turn. Woo! Oh, he's calling as well. Chris? She wants to raise. So she's going to raise with the green chips. She always likes playing with green chips. I'm going to call. Woo! Mr. Wu? Woo! Called as well. Okay, so now everybody's bet the same amount. This is what's called the pot. So we put all the chips into a pot. And over the course of the game, we will add more chips to that pot. And whoever wins the hand will get everything in the pot at the end of the hand. Right, so next phase is what's known as the flop, when we're going to deal 3 cards, or the dealer's going to place 3 cards in the table as the first of the community cards. Now again, there's another technique we should be following here to avoid cheating, and this technique is, you see it being used in casinos. It's called burning a card. So what you do is you take the top card from the deck and the dealer will burn it. Reason being that you don't want anybody to be cheating by knowing what's on the card. Now when you burn cards, you've got to do it really carefully because you don't really want to burn your fingers. But the other thing about burning cards is you do get through the deck quite quickly, so that's why you need a new deck each time. Oh, sorry, I was burning my finger there. Incidentally, always keep a fire extinguisher handy to extinguish flames. Where were we? Oh, the flop. Right, so we burnt a card. So now we flop out 3 cards onto the table and we flop them over and see what they are. Well, oh gosh, we've got 3 of a kind. How interesting. Now it's another round of betting. Mr. Wu. Who's there? Oh, sorry. Knocking. That wasn't somebody at the door. A technique to show that you want to check, as in not bet, you knock on the table. So Mr. Wu has checked. Oh, Cressy has checked as well. I will check too. So no more bidding on that round. Next round is what's called the river. Is what's called the turn. So again, the dealer would normally burn a card. Well, since I burnt my finger last time, I'm not going to burn a card this time. But so assume I burnt a card. And I deal the 4th card, the turn card. It used to be called the 4th street, but yeah, terminology just change over time. And so we turn the turn and see what's there. Well, once again, it's another at the same time. So we've got 4 of a kind now. Oh, Mr. Wu's checked. Cressy has checked. I'm going to check as well. So we're now into the final round of betting. This time again we burn a card, metaphorically speaking, and this 5th card is known as the river. And so various debate as to why a river card is called the river. Probably because when poker began it was played on riverboats on the Mississippi, and if you got caught cheating, then you'd be thrown overboard into the river. Or alternatively, if you lost all your money on the betting on the final card and what turned up, then you'd be sold down the river into slavery. Who knows? I did wonder about diverting the River Thames to the flat just to try and illustrate the point, but probably not very sensible, and it might have made the game a bit of a washout. So let's see what's the river. Same card again. Mr. Wu, it's your bet. Oh, he's going all in, betting everything he's got. Cressy, your bet. She's also all in. And I'm going to join them too, so I'm all in as well. So we're all in as we're inside for lockdown. What's that? Yeah, it's a big pot. Cressy said she's seen a bigger pot. Well, actually, that's true. We do have a big pot of plants. So let's add that to the table. So we've now got an absolutely massive pot. And finally, what we need to do is we need to reveal. So what have you got, Mr. Wu? Ooh. And Cressy? And I have the same. In fact, we've all got the same. Well, that is quite unusual. So we've all got a 5 of a kind. Now, 5 of a kind, that's a very rare hand. Most professional poker players will never see it in their careers. But anyway, probably the best hand you could have. Right, and since we've all won it together, it's what's known as a split pot. So we get a pot and we split it 3 ways between each of us, and that's the end of the first hand. And we'll play various more hands throughout the evening. Hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.